All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, January 18th. We got a small 5-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. We'll talk about them. I'll give you my lean on the spread, give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any player props we like in the games as well. But as always, all of my final plays, what I'm actually rolling with myself, those are going to be in the pinned comment if you do want to fade those picks and do the opposite, or if you want to ride with me. But last night was a fadeable night. 1 and 3 here in terms of final plays. The one that I'm bummed about is the Bucks minus 2.5. Like, Giannis just decides, okay, yeah, we're not going to play tonight. And it's like, this NBA season is guys not on the injury report, not sitting, or guys that are on the injury report all day waiting until game time. It's like, geez, they got to put some sort of, structure or bumpers to these rules for guys just randomly sitting. But, what are you going to do? The other picks, Trae Young, he finishes with just 1 steal, comes up short there. The Knicks minus 4.5, that cashes. And then the over in that game does not come through. So not a great night overall, but that now opens up an opportunity for a bounce back spot. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Our ride of the day also kind of gets screwed by Giannis sitting. I would have thought for a second, Damian Lillard's over 23.5 looks better when Giannis sits, but the Bucks get smoked. Damian Lillard only plays, I think it was like 25 minutes. He dropped 17 points, but unfortunately, we got to drop the womp womp there. He comes up shy of that 23.5 number. So shout out to Shook Ones here for the ride of the day attempt. But guys, if you don't know what the ride of the day is, all you got to use is that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a pick. And I'm jumping on board with one person's play, giving you guys a shout out in the next video as well on X. And then if you win, we continue to ride with you. So if you win, we celebrate it, we talk about it. Shout out to Fred, still has that longest active streak. And, if you lose, unfortunately, you got to face the womp womp. But go ahead and drop those ride of the days in the comments. All right, enough hoopla. Let's go ahead and jump into the first game of today's slate. We got the Knicks taking on the Wizards. Now, the Knicks, obviously the better team, in the better spot. They're at home here. I get why this spread is where it is, but I'm sounding the psycho alert alarm early in today's video. I don't mind Washington plus the 12 points. Now, I doubt that makes it on to my final card, right? Like, I don't think you'll scroll down, look at the pinned comment, and see Washington plus 12. So, forewarned there, right? But this is just a lot of points to lay as the Knicks, who are on a back-to-back here. Knicks on a back-to-back this season. Let me find it in the notes. Knicks on a back-to-back this season are just 3 and 5 against the spread. Washington on the road, surprisingly, 12-8-2 against the spread. So the numbers actually look at Washington here when you look at it from a trend perspective. Now, when you actually boggle it down to personnel, play, just team overall, the Knicks should crush Washington, right? That's why this probably doesn't make it into the final plays, but I'd be a little cautious about laying those 12 points. I would. A play that I definitely could see being a final play is the under 237. I already see this at 236.5 on some books. I think it's moving down, so if you can get it higher, the better, obviously. I think that this is a good spot. Now, again, Knicks on a back-to-back. Maybe they don't play as good of defense as they normally do because they might have some tired legs, and Washington we know has a really bad defense anyways, right? So maybe this gets up there. That's why this number is so high, especially for a Knicks game, but I still like the under. And then in terms of player props, nothing really jumps off the page to me. One that I considered was actually looking at Denny Avdija over 3.5 assists. Not the sexiest pick, I know, but he's hit that in 7 of his last 10 games. In terms of his position, the Knicks allowing the 8th most assists to his position, the small forward this season. So that's another one that I was like, all right, if I had to find something, that's what I found player prop wise. Next up, we have Toronto taking on Chicago here. Toronto, obviously, huge trade yesterday. Pascal Siakam traded for, Bruce Brown and like 3 first-round picks, which seems like it's a pretty damn good haul. And then they go in and they just kind of roll. They roll Miami yesterday, which was shocking to me, like even on the day of a trade. But I guess sometimes guys rally around trades and that type of thing. But nonetheless, now they're on a back-to-back. It just seems like too tough of a spot to take Toronto here. So I will take Chicago minus the 2 points. They don't have as much to figure out. Now, I get it. Toronto just had this news drop on them yesterday, and then all of a sudden they go and play good basketball. But it just seems like a lot to deal with. Like, you trade away one of your best players, you win last night, now all of a sudden you're playing against a new team on a back-to-back, and they just aren't that great on back-to-backs this season. So Toronto on back-to-backs 3 and 4 against the spread, which isn't terrible, but it's nothing to write home about, right? So give me the Bulls here minus the 2 points. Now, the total sitting at 228. I think I slightly lean towards towards the over here. I think this could get into the 230s. It's not my favorite play on the board, to be completely honest, just because of the inconsistency from both of these offenses. But Chicago's offense did look good up until they played Cleveland. What was that, 2 days ago, right? They had been scoring 120 plus 3 straight games. One of those games 130 plus, and all of a sudden they played Cleveland and dropped 91. So it makes you feel a little bit less confident about what they're rolling out offensively. But Toronto on back-to-backs, and again, that's a huge situation here. I think they could have tired legs and a lot dealing with mentally. 5-2 to the over on back-to-backs here. And this is obviously, like I said, a Bulls team that was, if you just strip out their last game, was scoring a decent amount of points, playing with a decent pace. So I'm going to lean towards the over ever so slightly. Now, a player prop that I don't mind in this spot here, and we'll jump into the screen. We have Outlier up right now. If you guys want to check out Outlier, use the link in the pinned comment. Get 7 days free. Absolute no-brainer. If you guys want to check out Outlier, that's down there. But I'm looking at Zach LaVine over 4.5 assists. Now, I wouldn't be looking at this if it was for minus money, right? But this is for plus 124, and a guy that's hit this in 4 of his last 5 games, and then in 5 of his last 10, but 4 of the times he didn't hit it ended at 4 assists, okay? And just looking at Toronto overall, giving up the 6th most assists to opposing players. Zach LaVine getting the start at small forward, but really is a shooting guard, and they allow plenty of assists to his position as well. So I don't mind looking at him in terms of his assists. He's averaging in his last 7 games here just under 10 potential assists per game. So I don't mind him getting 5 assists today. Now, it is a plus money play. Keep that in mind. It is a little bit of a flyer, but there's a chance that becomes a final play. So keep an eye on the pinned comment for that one. All right, guys, before we continue on with the show, I do want to talk to you about the Fade Me brand, guys. If you do want to support what we're doing here and get some great merch at the same time, consider heading over to fademe.store. Tons of new products over there right now. I'm wearing the Vice hoodie, and we just have tons of cool stuff and tons of new stuff on the way. The Parlay All Days hoodie and tee I really like as well, but tons of cool stuff over there, guys. If you want to support what we're doing here and pick up some great merch, there's the hoodie that I'm wearing. Head over to fademe.store. Yeah, we put a lot of effort and work into this brand, and everyone that's picked something up has had great things to say about it, which makes me feel great about, the work that we put in, because this is not, and I tell you all the time, not just some like, hey, let's get some bad quality materials and just slap a logo on it and sell it. It's not that. A lot of effort went into this, and I'm proud to say that this brand is where it is today. So if you guys do want to check it out and support what we're doing over there, head over to fademe.store. Let's go ahead and get back to the slate. Next up, a game that should be really, really good. Excited to watch this one. We have Utah at home taking on OKC. So Utah's not on a back-to-back because their game gets postponed yesterday. So they should have fresh legs here. They are cruising right now, like cruising. They've won 9 of their last 10. They've covered in 8 of those games. And they've beat some good teams. They beat Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Denver, like they're playing damn good basketball, and they're at home, which is what we like to see. That being said, the Rumble and Cover and Thunder are coming to town off of 2 losses, and not the best basketball in those 2 losses either. I think the Thunder get back on track and right the ship in today's spot. So I'm going to lean towards the Thunder minus the points. In terms of what we're looking at, an updated line is -3, but this thing's jumping all over the place. So keep an eye on that line. Make sure you guys are getting the best line out there. It opened at 3, went to 3.5, is back to 3 now, could go back to 3.5. Obviously, the way that this thing's been bouncing back and forth. But yeah, I like Utah. I'm entertained by the basketball that they're playing right now, but I just think the Thunder should be too much of a match for them. They played a month ago or so, and the Thunder won 134 to 120. Now, caveat that was before this Utah team kind of got healthy and kind of went on this run and made the starting lineup change of, kind of going a little bit smaller, and it's worked really, really well for them. But going smaller isn't going to benefit you necessarily against OKC, in my opinion, right? Like that change, that was a huge spark plug type of thing. I think OKC can match what they do. So I'm going to lean towards OKC, but not going to lie, if you tell me that you're on Utah's side of things, I wouldn't try and talk you off it too much, because that team is rolling. I just think that they're playing one of the better teams in the league and kind of could get got today, and they're due at some point for a loss, but maybe it's not today. In terms of a total, 244, I looked at this and I was like, oh, it's got to go over, right? I have a feeling that because this game is so expected to go over, and obviously these two teams play with plenty of pace and blah, 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 I have a feeling at some point they have to emphasize defense. Not that either team is this, phenomenal defender, right? Or defense type of a team. This is an OKC team that is making it really tough for opponents to score. Second this season in terms of opponent field goal percentage, and middle of the pack in terms of points allowed. And, you know, say what you want about Utah's defense all year long. As of late, they've actually been a lot better here. So they went from being the 20th ranked teams in terms of field goal percentage allowed to the last 5 games being the 6th best team in field goal percentage allowed and being a couple points below league average in terms of points allowed as well. So maybe, I'm not going to call this a defensive game, but I am going to lean towards the under just because that is a high line. And I think obviously both these teams know that they can score. How are they going to, you know, what's the edge? And I think it's going to be getting some crucial stops. Maybe I'm the crazy one, but I like the under in this spot. Now, a player prop that I really like in this spot is going to be Colin Sexton. I liked it yesterday. We didn't get to play it. Chance that we played today because I love the odds at -105 over on FanDuel. 19.5 points. I think that he can get 20 points here. Last time he played OKC, which was, again, about a month ago, he dropped 20 points in just 26 minutes of play. As of late, this dude's playing a lot more minutes. And again, that all comes from, one, him being healthy, and two, I guess, him being more efficient, right? So I like him to be able to drop 20 points. And when I say a lot more minutes, he's playing, 27 to 28 minutes any given night, too. So the minutes still could be erratic, but if he's on, and he's hit this in 4 straight games. He had 30 last time he played Indiana, and they've had 3 days off. I like Colin Sexton in this spot. Next up, Minnesota taking on Memphis. We can do this one really quick. Like, this is a game that, I just talked about the excitement for the OKC and Utah game. This is a game that I don't think is going to be all that great. 13-point favorites Minnesota is at home. Everyone and their grandmother's ex-boyfriend injured on Memphis. Like, I don't think that this is going to be a good spot to bet because it's a lot of points to lay as Minnesota, but, like, you can't really confidently take that on the Memphis side. So I'll lean towards Minnesota just because they are, head and shoulders better, I guess, than this Memphis team. But Memphis has looked like okay with all these injuries, so I guess you could make an argument as to why it's too many points, but I'm not going to be touching it. The total, 214.5, 214 on some books. It seems like it's a little bit too low, but maybe I'm just, looking at a low number. Like, obviously, you have an inefficient offense in Memphis and then a really good defense in Minnesota. This probably is like the Knicks game last night, right, where the Knicks win, 100 and less than 110 to less than 100. So maybe it's that spot, but, just for a lean purpose, I think I'm going to lean towards the over because I kind of talked about Minnesota's defense as of late, right? It hasn't been like this really, really, like they allowed 117 to Detroit in their last game. Like, this defense isn't clicking like it was earlier. It's still a good defense, and they had a lot of margin to go through before they were kind of like, with the other teams because they were so good early on. But it's just not as good as it was. This Memphis game could make them look a lot, better than that, though, because this Memphis offense, not all that great. And like I said, don't love any plays in this game, really, so no player props that I'm loving either. All right, this is going to be a good game, and mainly because, obviously, the Sabonis and Halliburton trade, and Halliburton, who's obviously been injured for a while, is actually listed as a potential game-time decision here, which would be pretty damn cool if he plays. Not sure his status. He is a game-time decision and listed as unlikely to play, but that would make this game a hell of a lot better. And obviously, they just trade for Pascal Siakam. I don't expect him to play, but we've seen crazier things. He's also listed as a potential to play, so it's not like he can't play. So those two pieces would make this game even more interesting. As of right now, I do think that I lean towards the Kings, which might be kind of crazy because the Kings have dropped 3 straight games. Now, one against Philly, one against Milwaukee, and then one against Phoenix. But they covered in 2 of those 3 games. So they have been covering, but as underdogs, I don't know if I love them laying 7 points here. That seems like a lot. But if there's no, Halliburton, and obviously no Bruce Brown now, and then no Pascal Siakam if he doesn't suit up, this Indiana team, I've said it all along, I think that Indiana will go as far as Halliburton takes them. And we just saw Utah, the Indiana's last game was like 2 nights ago, right? 3 nights ago. Utah beat them 132 to 105. This is an Indiana team that has not been looking all that great on the road. On the season, in terms of their against the spread, they're 10-8-0 against the spread on the road, which you think is great, right? But look at this road trip. A big loss to Denver, a big loss to Utah. Like, I don't think that they're playing their best basketball, and it's because their best player's not playing. It's not really their fault. So if Halliburton goes, I do think that Indiana has a chance to cover here, but he's been out for so long. Maybe it's tough, getting back into it, or maybe he has a minutes restriction. Who knows? But as of right now, with the details and the hand that we've been dealt, I think I lean Sacramento, even though it is such a big number. And I get it if people are like, yeah, I can't trust Sacramento at all. But they are at home here, just getting off of a crazy road trip where they played some good teams, some bad teams. They went Detroit, Charlotte, Philly, Milwaukee, and Phoenix. You know what I mean? Like, they got a taste of everything. But now back home, I think it's a decent spot for them. I don't know if we can personally play it because they are a pretty, untrustworthy team against the spread this year, but we shall see. I've done crazier. So give me Sacramento minus the points in terms of a slight lean here. Now the total sitting at 247. Oh, it's so high up there. It's so high up there, and I get why. I think that this game does have a lot of points. It pains me to do it, but I'm going to lean towards the over. I think that it's going to be tough to get there, but like how can it not, right? You have the Pacers who play fast. They still have played fast. The defense really isn't rocking whatsoever, right? And you have Sacramento who they've had some high-scoring outputs and sort of on the receiving end of high-scoring games. That Milwaukee game, 143 to 142, great example. They lose that game, almost won it. They did cover, but what a high-scoring game, right? So they're obviously capable of doing that. Now, from a player prop perspective, Indiana, nothing out for them as of right now, obviously, because of what we're looking at. But I wouldn't be surprised if Domantas Sabonis, tries really hard to play some good basketball because this is his former team. So I'd look at some of his overs, his props there. Yeah, like for him to hit a three now, he doesn't shoot a lot of threes, I get that, but right now for him to hit a three, we're looking at odds of plus 130, plus 133, and he's done that in 6 of his last 10 games, and in 2 straight games. Now, again, the quantity's not there, shooting like 1 3 per game, but I could see it happening just because, again, he's playing his old team, maybe he's feeling a little spicy, but that's probably not the play that you roll with if you're looking at Sabonis. I wouldn't mind looking at his points or something like that, but again, everyone's going to be focused on that matchup and everything like that. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to see what we roll with there. I think it's going to be a good game. Not the easiest to find edges in terms of betting it, but we shall see. Keep an eye on that pinned comment. That's going to wrap for today, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 16 because you made it over 16 minutes into the video. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.